something that I always found amiss with working with decks is that it was a really static experience. You sit here, you separate from your movement practice, you hunch over, you get into this really cognitive cerebral space. And while it does cause beautiful inner movements to occur, insights to come, intuition to catalyze, there was something always missing for me at the level of the body. And this was, many years ago why I birthed the dream to create a movement deck, and that project is still ongoing. That project is so entangled with my own process. I imagine that it will continue to be ongoing for a while, but the inspiration for the concept of the movement deck is to take the power of deck work and address movement and the body as well at the same time. So it's an integration. So in my own classes and workshops, the work I've done with Jess is someone I partner with a lot, and Dr. Jess Linick, someone I partner a lot in workshops with deck work. We both really love to use decks for process. So I wanted to give you all some tips about how you can use decks in a little bit more of an embodied way than this thing that you do sitting in a corner away from your movement space. So there's so many ways to do this, and if you're interested, you can always come to my classes and such where we are doing this ongoing. But one thing I wanted to start off with is a quick tip about how to take a card and involve movement. So however you like to shuffle and select your cards is great. Your own ritual, whether you develop it through imitating others first, finding out what works for you, but taking a shuffle or a card selection process. And let's just start with one card today, because just for the nature of simplicity, this concept, I think we need to keep it simple. So as I'm shuffling, what I can do is start to, either before or during that shuffle, start to consider, what is it that needs to move? I really like thinking about things in terms of movement. That's the language that I speak best. So whether it's a situation that's relational, whether it's a problem that you're having, you can think of things in terms of stuck or moving, in very simple terms, stuck or moving. And movement to me is not just movement towards better or towards solutions, but it's just movement through. And so movement can come with difficulty, and movement can come with ease. So I'm not placing judgments on the way that movement needs to happen for me through something. Ugh, I'm not paying attention. All right, so I pulled a card here, and if I was going to reflect on, what my intent is, this card is the best card to generate a movement for me, and I can focus and hold the intention of something specific, which I am, and then I can pull that card. Now, a couple of things that you can do is you don't even need to look at this card. You can put this card down in your movement space as an unknown and feel into the card, right? The body is a really good system for reading things, for using what we perceive to interpret. And so you don't need to see the card, but for the sake of this example, let's look at the card. This card is really topical for me, obviously. That's why I'm laughing. But this is the Death and Rebirth card. So this is one of the major arcana cards of death. But the cool thing about this deck is, again, there's so much movement. Like, look at this. And so what I can do is now, instead of sitting here and journaling, sitting here and thinking about it, sitting here and moving inward in a static way, I can get up. And I'm gonna do that now. What I like to do is either bring the card closer to me, like fold it into my clothing, or place it on the floor underneath my movement, standing on it, placing it somewhere in the space that feels good to me, so that my body, the environment and the card are in a dynamic, like an actual somatic, interactive experience. And what I can do is breathe into, I'm going to use the term field, the field of knowing of this card. The wisdom and the movement that this card can provide for me. And it's different every day, but I'm going to form a temporary relationship with this card to use it as a guide, as a support system, in order to move me forward through a place that I am stuck in. Now, because we're in a pretty intense archetypal card, this probably would take a significant amount of time, and I would want to make sure that I have that time. This can take a couple of minutes, but knowing what it is that I'm journeying through, I would want a boundary a lot more time for this. And so for the nature of this video, you're really going to be seeing a very condensed example of how to do this. But once I stand on the card, I'm going to take some breaths. Let's actually do this. I'm going to use the pole. I think the pole is a fabulous anchor, and it really designates space. It's a beautiful object to work with, deck work with. So I'm going to place this at the base of the pole, and I'm going to intend that the space that I am in, I am standing in and on the field of this death card in order to create movement for me. So I'm standing either directly on the card, and I'm going to start to breathe. And I can notice, as my body is creating a relationship with this card, I can notice what's coming up for me. I can notice what's going on with my breathing. I can notice what's going on with my pulse. I can notice what's going on with my thoughts. And I can start honoring anything that comes up in the body through movement or through no movement. A very, very intuitive process that you cannot get wrong. You can start to see if there's an impulse to move. It may be enough just to stand in this card and contemplate it. So today, for me, this card is not feeling as heavy as it was or as it could be. And I'm feeling this energy coming up from the ground. Like this new energy, imagining like you're coming out of winter and something is pushing through the soil. You have to really get out of judgment here. A lot of us really judge movement. I know some of you might be judging this movement like, oh, this is so cheesy. But this is what my body wants to do. This is the truth that is coming out of my relationship with the card. My life, my body, my present moment, the wisdom and the energy that this card holds with the intent to create movement for me. So I feel this spring energy. Now while I'm doing this movement, it may get bigger. It may go into a full freestyle. It might just stay here. And I can watch myself, my thoughts, my emotions, any further impulses that come to move. And if this was a heavy, heavy thing to walk through, to move through, I might have an emotional release. And that can take time, and we want to take care of ourselves through that. So, taking care of ourselves through emotional release is a whole nother video. But I mean, right now, like honestly speaking, I'm just enjoying this feeling of that there's energy coming from the earth that I can use to move forward. Wow, what a blessing that is. From how stuck I've felt. And I can do this, like for the nature of this video, this is all I'm going to do, because in order for me to honor my own process, I would really need to ignore the camera and go on. So I'm just gonna stick with this one impulse that I'm having. Noticing that as I'm embodying this, I feel more uplifted. My thoughts are a little different. And it doesn't always create such a positive outcome, but it can. And I can take as long as I want with this. I can also come to stillness. I can also keep dancing. It's really, what do you want to do today from this point? Or just enjoy and appreciate this small energetic movement you've created with the card. When I'm done, I can journal. I can take a moment with the card and look at it. I can go into any metaphors that I see, anything that resonates. I can also just thank the card for showing up, which I am thankful for. Like, thank you for showing up. And I release this card back to the deck. Yeah, like today for me, see this veil lifting? This is the truth for me in this card, and I found that. After you do a process like this, if you really held a strong intent, gave yourself boundary, time, and space to engage, something will happen. Even if the movement is small, something will happen. And I find that it can be a little more powerful than like just sitting here and like thinking about the death card. Get out into your space. Let the card be a part of your environment. Even if you take the card and put it into an object like the pole could then represent this card. And then allow yourself to move or be still, depending on what is being called to happen as you form a relationship with the card. And the card is here to serve your intent. So I hope that's helpful. Again, there's so many ways to work with decks in an embodied way or to work with decks in a movement practice. I'll continue to put that into my classes and workshops because I think it's really valuable. I identify with a fusionist approach, and so fusing deck work with movement work to me is more powerful than keeping them separate. Or like bookending a deck experience with a movement experience. Like, hello, they can work together. Like, we are very powerful creative beings, and there's a hell of a lot more potential that can be harnessed from your practice if you think about how can I fuse them. So I hope this was helpful, and give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Sending you lots of love and warmth on this very cold winter's day. Bye.